that respect is earned, not inherited. In just 38 seconds of one single comment, everything falls apart. The studio lights are blazing hot. The audience sits in perfect silence. Piers Morgan leans forward in his chair, hands clasped together on his desk. Across from him sits Prince Harry, already fidgeting with his collar, already looking uncomfortable. This is supposed to be a simple interview, a chance for the prince to talk about his charity work, his life, maybe clear up a few rumors. But from the very first question, something feels wrong. "Thank you for joining us today," Piers says, his voice warm but professional. "Let's start with something simple. Your recent comments about the press have raised quite a few eyebrows. Can you help us understand where all this anger is coming from?" Harry shifts in his seat. His jaw tightens. "Anger? Is that what you think this is? Well, you've called journalists parasites. You've said we invade your privacy. Those are fairly strong words." "Strong words for strong actions," Harry fires back. "You people have made my life a living nightmare since I was a child." The audience murmurs. Piers keeps his composure, his expression neutral. "I understand the press can be intrusive, but surely you recognize that public figures, especially royals, come under a certain level of scrutiny. That's part of the arrangement, isn't it?" "Arrangement?" Harry leans forward, his voice rising. "I never signed up for any arrangement. I was born into this. You act like I had a choice." "But you do have choices," Piers counters smoothly. "You've made choices. You've given interviews, written opinion pieces, appeared on television. You've used the media when it suits you. That's different." "How is it different?" "Because I control the narrative then. I decide what gets said." Piers raises an eyebrow. "So, you only like the press when you can control it? When journalists ask tough questions, suddenly we're the villains." Harry's face flushes red. "You twist everything. That's what you people do. You take a sentence, cut it in half, and make it mean something completely different." "Can you give me an example?" Piers asks calmly. "A specific instance where I personally twisted your words?" Harry pauses. His eyes dart around the studio. "I'm not here to play your games. I'm not playing games. I'm asking you to back up your accusation. You just said we twist everything. Show me where I've done that to you. This, right now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I asked you a question, a straightforward question. If you can't answer it, just say so." The tension in the studio is thick enough to cut. The audience watches in stunned silence. Production assistants stand frozen behind the cameras. Everyone can feel this spiraling out of control. "You know what your problem is?" Harry says, pointing a finger across the desk. "You think you're untouchable. You think because you have this show, this platform, you can say whatever you want about whoever you want." "I think I have a responsibility to ask questions," Piers replies, his voice steady. "That's what journalists do. We ask questions, especially of powerful people. You're a prince. You're one of the most privileged people on the planet. If you can't handle a few tough questions, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." "Privileged?" Harry's voice cracks with indignation. "You have no idea what my life has been like. None. You sit here in your comfortable chair, judging me, judging my family, and you know nothing. Then educate me. Help me understand. That's why you're here, isn't it?" "I'm here because my publicist thought it would be good for my image. Clearly, that was a mistake." Piers sits back in his chair, a slight smile playing at his lips. "So, you're admitting this is all about image management? About controlling how people see you? Stop twisting my words. I'm literally repeating what you just said." Harry stands up halfway, then sits back down. His hands are shaking. "You're impossible to talk to. I'm asking you direct questions. You're the one getting defensive." "Because you're attacking me." "Asking questions is not attacking you. If you feel attacked by simple questions, that says more about you than than it does about me. The audience gasps. Some people shift uncomfortably in their seats. Piers remains calm, collected, professional. Harry looks like he's about to explode. Let's move on, Piers suggests. You've been critical of your own family recently. Your grandmother, your father, your brother. Don't you think there's something deeply disrespectful about airing private family matters in public? They're not private when they affect millions of people. How does your relationship with your brother affect millions of people? The institution, the monarchy. People care about these things. So you're willing to damage your family relationships to satisfy public curiosity? The same public curiosity you just condemned? Harry's mouth opens and closes. He's struggling for words. That's not... You're twisting it again. I'm asking you to reconcile two contradictory positions. You hate media intrusion into your private life, but you're perfectly happy to intrude into your family's private life. How is that consistent? It's completely different. Explain how. Because I'm telling my truth. Your truth? Piers leans forward. What about their truth? What about your brother's truth? Your father's truth? Do they not get to tell their side? They have the entire establishment protecting them. They have you people, the press, always taking their side. Taking their side? The British press has been incredibly critical of the royal family for decades. We've questioned their expenses, their relevance, their behavior. You're acting like they get a free pass. They do get a free pass compared to what I get. Really? Your grandmother had her children's marriages torn apart in the tabloids. Your father's personal life was dissected for years. Your brother has been photographed without consent countless times. But somehow, you're the only victim. Harry's breathing is getting heavier. His face is bright red now. You don't get it. You'll never get it. Then help me get it. Use your words. Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. I'm treated differently because of who I married. Finally. The truth comes out. Piers nods slowly. There it is. This is really about your wife, isn't it? You think the press treats her unfairly because of her background. I know they do. The press has criticized her for the same reasons they've criticized other royals. Her spending, her demands, her relationship with staff. These are legitimate areas of coverage. It's racism, Harry shouts. The word echoes through the studio. Piers doesn't flinch. That's a very serious accusation. Can you point to a single article, a single piece I've written that was racist? It's coded. It's subtle. You people know how to hide it. So now you're accusing me of hidden racism? Based on what evidence? Based on how you talk about her, the tone, the implications. Give me a specific example. Quote something I said that was racist. Harry stands up this time. Fully stands. His microphone wire pulls tight. I don't have to justify myself to you. You just accused me of racism on live television. Yes, you absolutely do have to justify that. This interview is over. Sit down, Piers says firmly. You don't get to make wild accusations and then run away. That's not how this works. I don't take orders from you. You're on my show. You agreed to be here. If you want to leave, leave. But don't expect anyone to take you seriously ever again. Harry rips off his microphone. The sound of tearing fabric fills the studio. You're a bully. You're everything that's wrong with this country. I'm a journalist doing my job. If you can't handle that, maybe the problem isn't the press. Maybe the problem is you. How dare you? Harry's voice reaches a pitch that makes people in the audience wince. Do you know who I am? And there it is. The moment everyone will remember. Piers stands up slowly. He's taller than Harry expected. He looks directly into the prince's eyes. Yes, I know exactly who you are. You're a man who's had every advantage in life, every door opened for him, and you're standing here throwing a tantrum because someone asked you difficult questions. You want to be treated like everyone else? This is how everyone else gets treated. Welcome to the real world. I'm leaving. Good. The door's right there. Harry turns toward the exit. The cameras follow him. He's walking fast, almost running. His security team scrambles to keep up, but then he stops. He turns around. This is the moment where most people would walk away. Cut their losses. Move on. Not Harry. He marches back toward the desk. Piers is still standing, arms crossed, waiting. You think you're so smart, Harry says, his voice low and venomous. You think you've won something here. I think I did my job. Your job is to destroy people. My job is to hold people accountable. If that feels like destruction to you, maybe examine why. I could ruin you, Harry hisses. One phone call. One conversation with the right people. I could end your career. The audience gasps again. This is a threat. A clear, unmistakable threat. Piers smiles. It's not a friendly smile. Is that how you handle criticism? Threats? Intimidation? Is that the behavior of someone who claims to care about fairness and justice? Harry realizes what he's just done. His face goes pale. He looks around the studio, seeing all the cameras, all the witnesses. He just threatened a journalist on live television. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. You absolutely meant it. You're used to people bowing down to you, used to getting your way. And when someone doesn't play along, you threaten them. That's not noble. That's not brave. That's cowardly. Don't call me a coward. Then don't act like one. Stand here and defend your positions with words and logic. Or leave. But don't threaten me. I've dealt with much scarier people than you. Harry's hands clench into fists. For a moment, it looks like he might actually take a swing. Security guards start moving closer. The studio audience holds its breath. But Harry doesn't swing. He just stands there, shaking with rage, completely unable to form a coherent response. This is what happens when you live in a bubble, Piers continues. When everyone around you tells you you're right, you're special, you're above criticism. You lose the ability to engage with people who disagree with you. You lose the ability to think critically. You become exactly what you claim to hate. Shut up. Make me. The childishness of the exchange is almost funny. Almost. But nobody's laughing. This is career-ending stuff, playing out in real time. You're beneath me, Harry finally says. This show is beneath me. This whole thing is beneath me. Then why are you still here? Piers asks simply. Harry has no answer. He turns again, storms toward the exit. This time he doesn't stop. He shoves past a cameraman, nearly knocks over a production assistant, and disappears through the studio doors. The sound of the door slamming echoes through the space. Piers sits back down. He straightens his tie. He looks directly into the camera. Well, he says calmly, that was illuminating. The audience erupts. Some people are cheering. Others are sitting in shocked silence. Nobody can quite believe what they just witnessed. We're going to take a quick break, Piers continues, his voice steady and professional. When we come back, we'll discuss what just happened here with our panel of experts. Stay with us. The cameras cut. The red lights go off. But everyone in the studio is still buzzing with energy. Producers are running around, phones pressed to their ears. Legal teams are probably already getting calls. This is going to be everywhere within minutes. Piers sits at his desk, perfectly composed. A production assistant approaches him nervously. Are you okay? I'm fine, Piers says. Better than fine. That was exactly what needed to happen. He threatened you on air. I know. Everyone knows. That's the point. Another assistant brings him water. He takes a sip, checks his notes, prepares for the next segment. This is just another day for him, another interview, Another confrontation with someone who thought they could bully him into submission. In the hallway outside the studio, Harry is surrounded by his team. They're trying to calm him down, trying to figure out damage control. But the damage is done. The entire interview was broadcast live. Millions of people watched him lose his temper, make threats, storm off set like a petulant child. Back in the studio, the break is ending. The cameras are coming back on. Piers is ready. "Welcome back," he says to the camera. "I think it's safe to say that didn't go as planned. Let's break down what we just saw." He's in his element now, analyzing, explaining, contextualizing. This is what he does best, taking a chaotic moment and making sense of it for the audience. When someone in a position of power can't handle basic questioning, Piers explains, when they resort to threats and intimidation instead of answering questions, that tells you everything you need to know about their character. It doesn't matter if you're a prince or a pauper. If you can't defend your positions with logic and evidence, if you can't handle disagreement without throwing a tantrum, then you're not ready for public life. The panel of experts joins him. They're all still processing what happened. Everyone has opinions. Everyone has theories. "He walked in here with an agenda," one panelist says. "He wanted to play the victim, but Piers didn't let him." "The threat was the real revelation," another adds. "That showed his true colors. That's someone who's used to getting his way through intimidation." "And the entitlement," a third panelist chimes in. "Do you know who I am? That's not the question of someone who values equality. That's someone who thinks their birth gives them special privileges." Piers listens, nods, adds his own thoughts. The conversation flows naturally. This is good television. This is the kind of moment that defines careers. In homes across the country, people are watching. Some are cheering for Piers. Others are defending Harry. Everyone is talking about it. Social media is exploding. News outlets are already preparing their coverage. Back in the studio, the show continues. More discussion, more analysis, more breaking down every word, every gesture, every moment of the confrontation. "The question we have to ask," Piers says as the show winds down, "is what happens next. Does he apologize? Does he double down? Does he retreat from public life entirely? Whatever he chooses, it won't erase what happened here today." That's the thing about live television. There's no takebacks, no do-overs. What you see is what you get. The show ends. The credits roll. Piers stands up, shakes hands with his panelists, thanks his crew. Another successful broadcast. Another day at the office. But this one will be remembered. This one will be replayed over and over, analyzed and dissected and debated for years to come. Because it wasn't just an interview that went wrong. It was a perfect example of what happens when entitlement meets accountability. When someone who's used to special treatment encounters someone who refuses to give it to them. Piers walks off his own set, confident and unbothered. He did his job. He asked hard questions. He didn't back down when threatened. He treated a prince the same way he'd treat anyone else. And that, ultimately, is what made Harry so angry. Not the questions themselves, not the tone, not even the pushback. It was the equality of it all, the refusal to bow, the insistence on treating him like a regular person instead of royalty. For someone raised to expect deference, that equality felt like an attack, and he responded the only way he knew how, with anger, with threats, with a dramatic exit that accomplished nothing except proving every point Piers made. The studio lights dim. The audience files out, still buzzing with excitement. The crew packs up equipment. Another show done. Another moment of television history in the books. Somewhere, Harry is probably still fuming, still convinced he was wronged, still unable to see that his own behavior was the problem. And Piers, he's already thinking about tomorrow's show, already planning the next interview, already moving forward. Because that's the difference between them. One man spends his energy demanding respect he hasn't earned. The other man earns respect by doing his job with integrity and courage. One man threatens people who disagree with him. The other man invites disagreement and handles it professionally. One man storms off, sets when challenged. The other man stands his ground and makes his case. The interview that was supposed to rehabilitate a prince's image ended up revealing his true character instead. And no amount of public relations spin can change what millions of people saw with their own eyes. A man who claims to want privacy, but seeks out television interviews. A man who claims to hate the media, but uses it constantly. A man who preaches about kindness, but threatens journalists. A man who demands to be treated like everyone else, but reminds people he's a prince when it suits him. All of it captured on camera. All of it broadcast live. All of it undeniable. That's the power of live television. The truth comes out. Not the carefully edited truth. Not the media-trained truth. The real truth. And today, the truth was that behind all the complaints and accusations and victim narratives, there's just an entitled man who can't handle being questioned. Piers exposed that. Not through trickery or manipulation, just by doing his job, by asking questions, by refusing to be intimidated. The show is over. The moment has passed, but the impact will last. Because everyone watching learned something important today. They learned what real entitlement looks like. They learned what happens when privilege meets principle. And they learned that sometimes, just sometimes, the person with the fanciest title isn't the person worthy of the most respect. Sometimes it's the person asking the tough questions. The person